Ladies and gentlemen, guys and gals, non-binary pals, and the technicolor rainbow in between, this is Modular Media Wrestling Podcast, and I am your host, Chris Boingo and Gaston, and with me, as always, is my tag team partner.
The Vacuuminator reminding you to support your local independent wrestlers.
It looks like you're about to snap, but you never snap.
I did snap. Did you not hear it?
No, you don't snap. Like, you gotta wait a second before... I heard that.
Okay, I hit it harder that time. I'll hit it harder next week. I gotta smack it, apparently. Yeah.
We're running this joint. We're a roving band of gang members now.
Yeah.
Michael Bay's favorite movie.
That's a new faction coming to ROH in 3 years.
Yeah, wrestling. How have you been this week in wrestling terms?
I have been just enjoying all the fabulous takes that have been flying around, particularly from people who don't understand how you do a slow build. And we'll get into that as we go on. And also, I've been enjoying the wrestling. The wrestling has been quite good this week.
Well, that's good. I've also been enjoying the wrestling this week. I don't know what else. Like, it's hard to run a podcast and do it live.
Yeah.
Whinge. But yeah, we got a good amount of things to talk about because last week Kenny Omega decided to pull some shit.
Yeah, he did that thing where you spin around on the back of your foot. What's that called? I don't know.
A doozy do. He did a doozy do.
Yeah, he did one of those.
He did a doozy do. I mean, classic wrestling maneuver, doozy doos.
Yeah, and now the whole week has just been in reaction to that doozy do.
That big old doozy do.
Mm-hmm. This is a serious podcast for serious wrestling fans, everyone.
No, it's not. It will never be. It will never be. There will come a day when we are recognized as a wrestling podcast and we'll go like, no, we're not. We're dipshits. At least we're willing to admit it. Many other podcasts probably won't.
It's true.
But speaking of dipshits, being the elite.
Hey! Did you watch it this week?
No.
You mother... The
Dance Monkey Dance! Tell me about the show!
Foundational pillar of AEW and you never watch it. Oh my god. Okay, so the BT title thing this week was that they all played a game of Uno. And before you ask, yes, Evil Uno was involved. And he had the quite hilarious moment of saying... yeah, despite it being my name, I've never actually played a game of Uno before. And then he lost horribly. But the person that did win, because it was a big everybody get in here #1 contenders match, was Captain Sean Dean, a guy I've seen maybe twice on Dark. So I don't know. We'll see what happens in the actual championship match next week. That's all there is really to say that. Then we got a cute little segment where Brendan Cutler is just wandering around backstage. And then he accidentally wanders into where Sammy is shooting a segment for his vlog. And so they have like a camera off for a second. And then Fuego del Sol starts cutting a promo on Brandon because they had a match on Dark this week, which in the continuity of BTE was yet to come. So they just started promoing off, and it ended with them doing the Sammy's vlog and BTE chants. And that was cute. That was fun. I liked that. Then Matt Hardy yelled at his kids. There was basically this whole segment in reaction to the way the Battle Royal was booked for Hardy Party last week, of Matt being like, look, I know you got eliminated first, but I wasn't trying to eliminate you. I was trying to trust you. I figured you would grab the ropes and pull yourself back in. It's your fault that you slipped on the ropes, buddy. But hey, let's take this as a learning experience. Let's all learn and grow together. I know you're frustrated, but it's just natural. This is a father-son dynamic. I'm like your father in this situation, so let's go train and get better and be great. And they're like, okay, and they start leaving the bar to go to the gym, and just like right after they leave, and just before Matt leaves, you see him stop and just go like, idiots, and then he leaves. So that's a big heel. That's a big heel turn on Hardy Party that's coming. And then we get a little bit of before the championship match where the Bucks are backstage with Kenny, and they're basically like, all right, man, this is the big moment. This is what everybody's been wanting since we announced the company, all three of us as champions. We're going to see after the match. We're going to get the green room ready. And just like when we won the belts, we're going to have a big, cool celebration, right? And Kenny's just kind of standing there against the wall like, yeah, totally. Definitely, guys. I can't wait. And then he just kind of slinks off towards the gorilla position. It's like, oof, oof. And then we get some major comedic relief because Dark Order tried to lure Hangman into their lair with a breadcrumb trail of whiskey shot glasses.
Perfect. Beautiful.
Which John Silver could not stop drinking as Alex Reynolds was setting them down. And then they all start getting drunk on what's left of the whiskey when they finally get back to the lair. And it gets insane because two of them, 10 and Colt Cabana, have never drank before. So they do this whole bit about them getting way too plastered. 10 does body shots off of 5. Or maybe I'm reversing that. I'm not sure. And then when Hangman finally shows up and he just kind of tries to sneak past all of them and just grab the whiskey, they all notice him. And Evil Uno, drunk off his ass, just comes up and puts his arms around Hangman. He's like, Hangman, I love you, buddy. Look at my hand. I wrote a speech for you. Will you join the Dark Order? And he's like, no, I'm just here for the whiskey, but you guys have fun. And they're like, come on, Adam, you gotta join. Look, we like drinking just like you. Look, we totally get you, man. You drink because you want to have fun, right? And then at that exact moment, you just hear in the distance, they edited in Justin Roberts saying, your winner and new AEW World Champion. And Hangman just has this look on his face like, fuck, it happened. And he just says, I gotta go, guys. And he leaves. And that's the last of Hangman we saw on BTE this week. But then immediately after that, we cut to the Bucks walking back to the EVP office, like really just confused and upset. Like, what? I can't believe he just left without saying anything. What's going on? And then they walk into the EVP office, and Brandon Cutler's got it all done up for the celebration. And he's like, all right, let's do it. And he's shaking up the bottle. Well, and he's like, it happened. Where's Kenny? Kenny, we're going to celebrate Kenny winning, right? I as soon as I heard the announcement, I ran right back here and started getting stuff ready. Guys, where's Kenny? He left. What? He left? What happened? Kenny turned heel. And that was the ending of BTE this week. So overall, pretty fun episode.
Here's the thing. I understand being like BTE is super meta and does all that kind of stuff. It'd been fun if he turned heel and ran away. That way they can get their thing, but it's also like wink, wink, nod, nod. We're keeping kayfabe. Mm-hmm. But it's super not like a big issue. Can't seem to get an angle on this. There.
Are you good now?
Yeah,
are you happy?
Like
live, everybody.
I have to set it up every goddamn week, so it's like trying to make sure everything's good. And like,
maybe I should buy you a tripod for Christmas or something.
I have a tripod. I
meant like a desk-sized one, like one of those bendy ones.
This is like a full-sized fucking tripod.
Yeah, you need like one of those bendy ones that's all ball joints.
You mean a nice sat joint?
Yes, exactly. Because I have one of those, and it's a miracle of modern science. But getting back to wrestling, hey, guess what, everybody? The Randy Orton-Bray Wyatt feud finally got good. I'm as surprised as you are, but it actually happened. Because this week, after a Pat Patterson tribute on Raw, Randy Orton comes down to the ring and he starts cutting a promo basically saying he's sick of playing games, he wants Bray and he wants him now. So Firefly Funhouse starts up and Bray's like, you want to face me? I thought you wanted The Fiend. I thought you wanted The Fiend at TLC. We don't even know what kind of match we're going to have yet. So decided right now, let's play. And then he says some kind of cheesy game show name that didn't stick in my head. But then they go into like a Price is Right situation with the puppets. And he's like, show everybody what they're competing for. And it's the corpse of a puppet he killed off a couple weeks ago and the crucifix Randy used to burn down the Wyatt house. And then he throws it to the puppets and he's like, what kind of match should we have at TLC, everybody? Mercy the Buzzard is just eating his button. Flipping, what's the other one? I think Boss Man said full on TLC match. And then Rambling Rabbit goes, I think The Fiend and Randy Orton should just sit down and have a conversation about their feelings, dude. And this cheesy music that's been playing throughout the whole segment just immediately stops and Bray's like, why would you say that? That's disgusting. Don't ever say that again. Don't ever speak again. What does our judge think? And Abby the Witch is just like, leave me the fuck out of this. I don't care anymore. And then cut back to the ring. Randy's like, Bray, enough of the games. I am serious attack man. I want to fight. You will fight me tonight on Raw. And he's like, okay, but The Fiend's a little busy. So you're going to have a match with little old me. So the main event of Raw this week was Mr. Rogers Bray versus Randy Orton. Surprisingly good. Not the best match ever, but a decent WWE match that ended in the lights starting to go out, and clearly The Fiend's about to come. And Randy Orton, because he's a smart boy, just immediately RKO's Bray and goes for the pin. But as he's pinning him, the lights completely go out, and because pandemic and they can do pre-recorded shit, they cut it, and the lights come back up, and Bray is pinning, or Randy is pinning The Fiend, and The Fiend just pops back up, gets him in the mandible claw, and that's how Raw faded out this week. It was awesome.
That's pretty solid. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Don't know about anything else that happened on Raw this week, though.
Red stuff happened.
Yes, there was red stuff. People were probably wearing red T-shirts.
Roman
Cole
Reigns probably said
Corey Graves.
Yeah.
Roman Reigns probably said some stuff about his family. Who else is on that
I just realized he started talking about his family when he was in a Fast and Furious movie.
It's all a rich tapestry, folks.
Family.
It's about family, and that's what makes it so powerful.
Fantastic Four. So we gotta fucking talk about Impact this week.
What a world we are living in, sir. It's fucking 2020 and Impact is relevant again, because we were talking about this last week. We were expecting Impact to do a big number this week. Going by their Twitch numbers, their average viewership for a Twitch stream of a new episode is about 17,000 people. They shattered that record this week because they were averaging about 40,000 people through the whole show. I was there watching and saw. And during the Kenny Omega segment, they peaked at 52,000.
They were one of the highest watched.
Normal.
They were one of the highest watched Twitch channels of the night.
It's insane. You know, if they're not already booking a full-on interbrand storyline, Impact is like begging Tony Khan for it right now.
Oh yeah, no. Especially with what they set up in the show, because for better or worse, they did try to pack the show as best they could, given the fact that a lot of it was pre-recorded.
And it's pretty close to a pay-per-view, so there's a lot of storylines that they're like knee-deep in, and if you don't know Impact pretty well, you're going to be pretty confused.
They did a pretty okay job at like kind of getting you up to speed of like general storytelling bits. Like we can go through it because they did give a little update on like, hey, for people who only watch Impact and don't watch Dynamite, here's what's going on. Yeah, here's what's going on at Dynamite so you can get caught up. Jon Moxley does all that kind of stuff. The first match is... give me a second.
Steak! Did we just go to the BRB screen, or am I on? I have no idea. I have to wait for the live stream to show me. Okay, I'm on. Hi, everybody. I don't know if he wants me to just go ahead and talk about Impact some more or wait for him. So, let me tell you about...
I would prefer if you wait just a second. So if you could, like... I just got to deal with something with it real quick that I didn't know I'd have to deal with right now.
Okay, I'll stall and talk about numbers some more.
Okay, you do that.
So yeah, this number is really insanely high and just unprecedented. I was not expecting it at all. And it definitely made tuning into Impact for a full episode for the first time really worth it, because there was just that little thrill you got every couple minutes of just seeing the number like shoot up by 1,000 or 2,000. And it was kind of incredible because all night in the chat, there was just this endless anticipation of people coming in and going, has Kenny been on yet? When's Kenny going to be on? What's going on? Who are these people? Why does this commentary suck? What's going on? Why is there no crowd? Oh yeah, COVID. Oh, kind of a thing. It was certainly a thing, certainly an experience to be had, and I really enjoyed it. As I've said, I keep up with the Impact things that pique my interest just from titles and thumbnails. So I was watching some stuff leading into this, and I kind of had an idea of what's going on. But this is my first time sitting down and watching a full episode of Impact, and it was interesting. However, until we are guaranteed more AEW interplay stuff, I'm probably not coming back for like regular viewings, mainly just because this took a huge chunk out of my night, and like I already have that every week with Dynamite. So I'd like to have my Tuesdays still be relatively free. I may still like have Dark or something else on in the background while I'm doing stuff on Tuesday nights. Excuse me. But probably not going to be Impact, just because it, like, without a crowd, wrestling, especially wrestling with Josh Matthews commentary, is kind of a hard sit. It's not that interesting to just watch in the background while you're doing other things. And I think that was their biggest detriment. And, they really couldn't do anything about that. So I don't hold it against them. Impact may be really enjoyable for me once they can have a crowd again. It's just right now I was kind of like, okay, I did the thing. I saw the guy, kind of a thing happening, There was that happened. That was a thing that happened. Just like this is a thing that's happening while I'm waiting for Boingo to get back so we can talk about more wrestling, and I don't have to just sit here and wait. It's interesting to just sit here and wait. Actually, it's really not. It's really kind of boring. And I definitely do feel some pressure to just entertain you folks while I sit here in my bland ass bedroom without any like figures or anything I could show you to compensate for the lack of interesting discussion. Hey, speaking of figures, check it out. Matt Cardona shirt. I've had this for a good little bit. Not a big fan of a lot of the shirts he's got up on Pro Wrestling Tees, but this one just looked kind of stylish to me, and it catches the eye, and it's a very unusual kind of wrestling shirt, so I appreciated it. I may have to either just drop it or get a new one soon because it's an XL, and I bought it like right at the point where it stopped being acceptable for me to wear XLs. I'm now a large going into a medium, which is good. You know, I stay on that workout. I stay on that grind. I stay on that diet, that getting my gains and whatnot. You know, eat fruit mostly. Just fruit and protein bars and energy drinks. That's pretty much my diet. It's maybe not the most helpful thing. A touch insane, a touch psychotic, but it works. I'm losing weight. Have been for a while now. 200 pounds is what I weigh today. When I started working out 2 years ago, I was like 270 something. So that's pretty good in my book. And yeah, you know, don't know what else I could really talk about. I mean, there is a lot of Disney, Star Wars, Marvel news that dropped today, but I don't want to talk about that because I get the feeling we're probably going to talk about that a lot during AF on Saturday, which you'll hear on Friday, or not tomorrow Friday, but next Friday. And I don't give a shit about video games, so I didn't look at any of the Game Awards news. I don't know. Have they made a sequel to fucking Top Gun on the NES yet? Is there a new SSX? Remake of the Transformers Armada game, perhaps? Fucking remaster Final Fantasy style kind of shit. Be down for that. Proper good Battlefront, maybe? Ooh, yes, please. I don't really know what else to say, you know? Just sitting here, hanging up, waiting for my boy. We maybe jumped the gun on this stream a little bit. It's, you know, it's interesting. It's interesting to be wrong about things sometimes and to just be sitting here waiting for your friend to come back so you can do the goddamn wrestling show. Couldn't even put you on the Be Right Back screen because he hasn't even made a Be Right Back screen for this show. Just it leaves you to fumble and thumps around. I'm not mad though. I'm not mad. I understand he's got important shit to do. But like, use some help. And I can't even text him to be like, hurry the fuck up because I can see his phone on his feed come to me right there. He left it so it would still be set up. But when he gets back, and yeah, it's just it's not optimal to be in this situation, you know. I certainly wish this wasn't live, so I could just like go quiet and say, I'll tell him to cut all that out when he gets back. Live, everybody. We're just hanging out, you and me, my pals. Would certainly help if there was somebody in the chat watching so we could talk and be boys. But there's no one because this is still a new show. It's still getting off the ground. I don't know when or if we're going to get any regular live viewers. I would hope soon. I would hope soon. It would be nice to have some regular live viewers in the chat who I could just talk with while I'm waiting for Boingo to get back from dealing with his bullshits. Because, oh boy, It's sure is fun just sitting here talking to myself. Don't feel at all like a fool or a buffoon, or a buffoonish fool or a foolish buffoon. Certainly don't feel like a bassoon. And I'm not on the moon. Don't go to Calhoun, but do get me a calzone. I think that would be great. I like calzones. They're tasty. And you know, yeah, 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 yeah. Wrestling, 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 and wrestling. Definitely wrestling. Probably some wrestling. Definitely a little wrestling. Hopefully a lot of wrestling. Maybe a whole kind of some wrestling. And wrestling. Wrestling, wrestling, and wrestling. Definitely wrestling. Wrestling and wrestling. A little bit of wrestling. Hopefully some wrestling. Probably a little bit of wrestling. Maybe some wrestling. 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 WWF. WWE. AEW. Impact. NWA. ROH. NJWP. Mid-Atlantic. Free counts. Turbo. ROH. TNA. Impact. Of course, when I fucking go silent and decide to get up to take a piss, after just sitting here and saying the word wrestling over and over again for 20 minutes straight, is when you finally get back.
How you doing?
Nearly drove myself insane with that shit. Probably got a little salty towards the end. I don't know. I fucking blacked out. Impact, damn it.
All right, I'll talk about Impact. All right, let's get the thing back up. All right, Impact. Impactful. I haven't really ever watched Impact or TNA or anything like that. So. Oh yeah, he's gone. He's probably pissing. He's at least moaning. So I'll stall until he gets back.
No, fuck you. Talk about Impact.
No, you're back now. I don't have to stall.
I never left. I just got up and stepped out of frame.
Exactly. I can bullshit easy.
I can't. I just started, dude, I literally just started saying wrestling. Started listing off promotions that I knew of. And then I started listing off active champions that I knew of. And then I just started saying yeah in different tones of voice.
Okay.
That's what I remember.
You need to
if anything else happened, somebody tell us in the comments after this goes up.
You need to take improv lessons. That's what you need to do.
Oh, is that what I need to do?
Yes.
Okay. Because I was starting to think I needed to find another wrestling podcast to be on.
Well, I'm sorry that I have little to no control of my life due to the fact that I have to deal with other people. And I can't just say, no, I'm in the middle of something.
Yeah, don't worry. We're going to get you the fuck out of that house.
But in fact, hey, it opened up with a tag team hype-up match between the Motor City Machine Guns and the North. One half of each team had a singles match. Classic wrestling hype build-up stuff. I think that's to put on when they're trying to like bring in people onto Impact because, hey, last couple of weeks of Dynamite, they've been talking about the Motor City Machine Guns because of Top Flight saying like, oh yeah, no, they're an inspiration. So it's like, hey, this is the team they were talking about. Oh, that's good. That works.
I hadn't thought about it that way. I was just kind of like, okay, this match is happening. I've heard of these people. Let's see what they're like. Okay, they're tag teams. Good to know.
Also, the North kind of have a FTR vibe, so if you're going like, oh, these guys are kind of like FTR, and you kind of put two and two together kind of thing. Commentators hype up the upcoming interview. A lot of people were shitting on Matthews. He wasn't shit. He wasn't horrible.
People hate Josh Matthews for the same reason they hate Michael Cole. He's bland. He is a basic commentator. Oh yeah, no, that's not a bad thing. You need a straight man. Oh it's just wrestling fans are used to JR being the most insane animated man ever during the Attitude Era.
JR, Ranello, and now we have JR, Schiavone, and Excalibur all together.
Like wrestling fans hate commentary if it's not an extremely animated, passionate, excited person. It's just somebody doing a sports commentary. They're like, oh, this guy's shit.
Even the regular sports commentary gets that kind of animated, and people prefer that too.
That's fair.
Have you heard a Mexican announcing for football?
I have not.
They just scream goal for like 5 minutes whenever it happens. It's hilarious. It's great too.
Good for them. Yeah. Good for them.
But we had a backstage segment with Bay and Moose. I think Bay's X Division champ. No, he's
Bay. Okay. Chris Bay is about to challenge at the next pay-per-view for the Impact World title.
Which
Moose is go ahead.
Which is their main heavy title. Their big belt.
Moose is the world champion, and he's very upset about being the former Impact World Champion. And so he has taken to calling himself the TNA World Champion and is wearing the old belt around.
And it's kind of like the FTW Champion. It's an unrecognized belt, but like there's effort put into it. I really liked Moose in this segment, though. He was great.
Yeah, he's just kind of sitting there while Bay's trying to go over a game plan, and he's just like, my fists talk for me. Like classic 80s kind of macho stuff. Yeah.
But it made me interested in Moose. It made me highly invested in Moose when the match came up. The Tonys did a thing.
Yeah, my favorite thing of the night. This fucking paid advert by Tony Khan with Tony Schiavone, where they just show up and they go like, hey, Impact, I know you're all excited to see our world champion, who really shouldn't be on this show, and we could stop it. We could. We do have legal action we could take against him for being on here. But you know what? We figured instead we'd being the kind, gentlemanly people we are, we'd throw some money into Impact's coffers and do a little paid advert for our own show. So if you only watch Impact, you don't watch AEW, maybe come over this week. We got some stuff going on. Here's some matches we got. I hear you like tag teams. We got the best tag team in the world. You might want to Young Bucks, not Generation Me, Young Bucks. They will be having a match, and it's really interesting. People have been given all these crazy rumors that maybe I, Tony Khan, am gonna buy Impact. I got a lot of investments out there in Nashville. I don't know. We'll see how that shakes out. Tony Schiavone, you spent a cup of copy. Never heard that turn of phrase before. Love it.
I've heard it a ton of times in wrestling parlance.
Okay. You spent a cup of coffee in Impact. What's your thoughts? Yeah, I was there for one night, and then I quit the business for 8 years.
18
years. And that's...
because it's such a subtle burial of TNA.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's saying, like, hey, you're Impact now, but, like, you were TNA.
And what's interesting is, and I know they've been doing this for, like, at least since the pandemic began, all throughout this show, they were showing, like, classic moments from the TNA era. And they showed some pretty good stuff for an AEW audience. Like, they showed one of Sting's debuts in TNA. They showed a Generation Me match. They showed AJ Styles winning his first world champion. All pretty good, interesting stuff. That's like, yeah, here's the good stuff about TNA. Maybe don't look at anything else.
TNA seems to be like 50% pretty cool. Like, you understand why it's a cult favorite wrestling promotion. Oh, right, they hired Russo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But Brian Myers and TJP had a match, and it was great. Myers looked awesome.
Yes. Match of the night. I was very excited for this. I like Brian Myers, and
I mean, look at your shirt.
It's Matt Cardona, but yeah.
And they have they also plugged the podcast and had a little graphic for it. It was like, oh, that's cool. That's nice.
Yeah. And I haven't seen TJP since he was released by WWE, so it was good to get to kind of catch up with him and see what his in-ring style is like now. And it's fucking good. It's good.
Indie style. It's indie style, man.
Mm-hmm.
But then we had some X Division stuff, which is basically like their cruiserweight, mid card type. Like, it's kind of designed to be a little bit of both. But kind of like going, like, hinting at TJP going after it and everything. Eric Young had a match. Eric Young basically being the leader of, what was the faction? Sanity, yeah. Basically doing that, but, like, while also being TNA Eric Young.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's interesting.
A good mix for, like, I imagine, like, for the TNA people, it's like, oh, it's great to see a classic face back in the company. Mm-hmm. But it's also familiar enough for if you just know Eric Young from NXT, it's like, okay, I remember him. That's cool.
Yeah.
Tommy Dreamer had some fucking great moments in this.
Yeah, 2 back-to-back segments with him backstage. Storyline stuff going on. A friend of his got shot, and now he's going to have a match with the guy that shot him. LOL Impact.
Yes, LOL Impact. But also, it's like, they ran down the entirety of the storyline in, like, 5 sentences so everybody could kind of be caught up. Mm-hmm. It read like 3 panels in a crossover event to go like, here's what happened in the other issue that you need to kind of know about.
Mm-hmm. And then he goes to the management office, which I don't know what the name of their authority figure character is, who he is. I've never seen him before.
Elton John.
Yeah, kind of.
He looks like Elton John.
But he basically says, like, hey, I've been through this kind of crossover shit before. Maybe not the best idea. And the management guy is just like, Tony, fucking Kenny's already here. We're doing this.
Kenny's already here. Everybody's getting mad numbers on social media. Everybody's making money. Get in on it. Just do it. And I liked it because it was kind of a, not necessarily a heelish authority figure saying shut up, but it was very much, it was an interesting way to take it. It's like, come on, let's not look a gift horse in the mouth. It may crash and burn, but right now we're riding high.
Yeah.
which is a nice direction to take it. But I also really enjoy the continuity of Tommy Dreamer having been part of Invasion.
Mm-hmm.
And going like, yeah, no,
everything is connected in wrestling unless you're WWE. Then anything that happened outside of WWE didn't happen unless we need it to have happened.
Yeah, WWE. Other companies use WWE storylines more than WWE uses them.
Ooh, true.
I mean, come on, think about it. How many AEW storylines have a kernel from WWE?
Quite a few.
Because Miro versus Best Friends has some elements of WWE in it. Because Miro keeps talking to Trent, going like, "Hey, yo, young boy, yeah, you're beneath me because I was like ahead of you in NXT," and that kind of stuff. You have a lot of people going like, "Yeah, no, we were underdogs. People didn't want us because we were in." Fuck you.
It's like this is a sidetrack.
It's our podcast. Who the fuck cares?
Fair enough.
Basically, WWE forgets a lot more of their things than everybody else remembers them. Kimberly versus Deonna Pizarro versus Rosemary and Taya Valkyrie. Is Kimberly from fucking Chicago?
I think so. I don't know. I've like barely seen her before, but they're bringing back the Knockouts tag titles. So this is a match in the ongoing tournament to decide the first new Knockouts tag champions.
Oh yeah, no, like the match was good though.
Yeah, it was a great match. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Like legitimately, I've never seen Rosemary wrestle outside of Broken Matt Hardy stuff. So this was like surprisingly good because I've always kind of thought of Rosemary as like she's the older woman in that locker room. She's there as like the locker room leader, mother figure, veteran. She's probably like an Undertaker, can't take that many bumps anymore, but she still tries to help out where she can. No, she was all over the place in this match and she was great. Rosemary can still fucking go.
What are you talking about? Rosemary's young.
How old is Rosemary?
She's like in her late 20s.
Really?
She's married to Rich Swann.
People have always made it out to me like she's in her early 40s.
No, hold on.
I know, this is how little I know about Impact people. Just going off of what people have told me about it, that's how old I thought she was.
Hold on.
Tell I'm the perfect person to be talking about.
She's 37.
So one of us was definitely close in there.
Yeah.
But still, great match.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and Kimberly is Princess Kimberly from Chikara.
Okay.
So, yeah, she is. Let's see. But yeah, there's like goods going like, hey, women's match. We have women. Come watch our women wrestle and do good shit. Sami Callihan cut a promo basically going like, hey, I'm one of our main event people here at Impact. Let me cut a promo so you can see how awesome I am. And see the similarities between me and Eddie Kingston. If you like Eddie Kingston, you kind of get a similar vibe with me, but it's also a little bit of Moxley. Kind of going like, hey, here's a smattering of what you can get at Impact. A plethora, a platter. Then we had Chris Bay and Moose versus Rich Swann and Willie Mack. This was a great fucking, like, thrown together tag team kind of match.
I zoned out during it.
Oh, I enjoyed it. Because ultimately, a lot of the match is Rich Swann and Willie Mack, who are really good friends in storyline, probably in real life too, working really well together. While Chris Bay and Moose can't, like, Moose is being a moose. So Chris Bay is doing some stuff, and then Moose will like chop Chris Bay to tag himself in, like not like hard to tag himself in, and he was yelling at Chris Bay to go like, fuck off, fucking do this, win, you're not doing it right. He was yelling at him and being angry and all that kind of stuff. But Bay does win in the end, kind of hyping up his title match coming up soon. And also, great segment leading out of this is Rich Swann trying to leave the Impact Zone, and he's not.
He's stopped by a security guard. He says the champion is reserving the parking lot for the time being, and he goes, "What the fuck is Moose on? I'm so sick of this shit. Just let me through, dude." And he's like, "No, no, 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 the AEW champion." And he's like, "What?" And then Josh Matthews comes up to go for the interview.
That's a great little bit because it makes people who are just Impact fans hate Kenny Omega. Like, he becomes an instant heel because it's like, he's disrespecting our champion? Fuck him.
That's fair.
You know what I mean? Like, it's good for Impact storytelling. And it also can build up hype for what they eventually announce is basically Kenny's going to become a collector.
Yeah, because Matthews goes back to the bus and meets up with Kenny and Don. He basically asks how long everything has been in the works, what's going on here, what's the partnership, and Kenny basically goes, "Well, you know the rub. You were friends with Ambrose back on Tough Enough, which was a wild fucking reference to drop, but okay." And then Don takes the mic and he says that he's been planning this for all 27 years of his career. He's been the invisible hand guiding Kenny all this time. And even the Jericho Omega match in NJWP, he says that was all him, and AEW should be thanking him just for its existence. Says the quote, which I think it's just going to become, we'll make matches, some people others make memories, but we make history. Then Josh asks if Kenny feels that the way he won the title was kind of like dirty at all, like what he feels about it. And Kenny says he did what he had to after Mox struck his father figure, justifying his actions because of what happened to Don during the match. And then he gloats about being in all the best matches ever, goes over all these different places that he's had the best matches, and says now he's in Impact because of what he can be, and that he's building a collection of titles, starting with the AEW Championship. He references as a kid, he used to collect comics, but he gave it up because he could never get the most expensive, most coveted issues.
You can never get the Grails.
Which let me just say this: if you're one of those people that collects comics, but you're doing it wrong. But Kenny calls the AEW Championship the Action Comics #1 of wrestling titles. But all right. And then he basically says he has a big announcement for Dynamite tomorrow, and that he's going to take his Lex Express and go back to Jacksonville.
I mean, what else comic book could you compare the AEW Championship to?
How about one that's actually that old and has that much history? A championship?
I meant, what comic book AEW Championship?
Okay. Looking at it in that light, that's kind of...
Like, the only other thing I could think of, like, Spawn #1.
Yeah, that's kind of what it is in terms of the grand picture of wrestling.
X-Men
I'm sorry to say.
#1.
No, because X-Men #1 is kind of worthless with how overprinted it was.
Savage Dragon #1.
That's the TNT type.
Oh. Hurt my boy. I love shitty 90s comics for everybody who wants to know. Like Savage Dragon. I got Bloodshot right here. Bunch of Dark Horse. I'm that guy.
Thanks for reminding me that I have a really bland background.
Just do what I do and put up your comics. It's not that hard. You get like a little, like one of these little thingamajigs and a couple push pins. You're good.
I mean, look how far back all that is.
Then buy a seal a copy of Watchmen, rip it out, and do Ray William Johnson.
Oh no, that's disgusting.
I mean, they print a shit ton of Watchmen. You can do it, and it won't.
No, I just mean doing anything that's comparable to Ray William Johnson.
Yeah. Do Doomsday Clock.
Hey.
Gonna piss
Dynamite
off
was the.
Let's piss off some comic book fans. I enjoy Doomsday Clocks.
It sounds pretty good. But Dynamite did happen this week.
Dynamite. Speaking of Dynamite, we had an explosive match this first one.
Hey. Young Bucks versus TH2. This was legitimately a fantastic match. Just a bunch of good old flippy boys doing some big old flippy boy shit. I loved it, particularly the spot where Nick kicks the both members of TH2 while they're on the outside, and he starts like spinning back up the rope. And for a second there, I thought he was botching a move. And then Matt just comes and suicide dives between his legs to knock them over again.
Perfect.
That was awesome.
Yeah. But the end of the match had the Acclaimed, where like they're really building up this new tag team. Everybody's seemingly enjoying them. I enjoy them. Trying to do a little beatdown on on the Bucky boys, but SCU come in and go like, "Nuh-uh-uh, a SoCal boys stick together."
Is it just me, or did they come out a little too fast? Not like they're planning something sinister, just like they were way too ready for that cue, because they got out there before the Acclaimed could even get on the apron, and it made it seem like they were just waiting in the tunnel for it to happen, which I know outside of kayfabe they were, but for the sake of kayfabe, I had a couple more seconds.
Yeah, but they may have also like rushed it because they knew it was going to be a tight show and they didn't want to waste any time.
That's true. And I mean, guys, I said on Twitter after I finished this episode that I thought this might have been the perfect Dynamite. And I don't mean that in like it was the most fantastic, most jaw-dropping episode. I just mean that the pacing in this episode was fucking phenomenal. It started at a level, and then it kept at that level, and it kept building into things that were going to be happening later in the night without it just stopping for the commentators to go, and remember, we've got this coming up later. I mean, they did that a couple times, but it never felt like we were stopping to remind you what the main event was.
Or taking like
backstage stuff.
Or like taking 5 minutes and going like, hey, by the way, here's all the shit of ours that you can buy it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was really quick. It was really well paced. And I think that's partially because they were trying to capitalize on the fact that they had so many eyes on them because of Sting and the Kenny stuff from last week. So like they were going like, let's be quick about this. Let's get people up to date. Let's get people into our shit. And the next week we can slow it down a little bit. I'm hoping that's what they're doing.
Because we immediately after this match go to a backstage promo from MJF, where he basically just really quickly says, Orange Cassidy because he beat his buddy Chris Jericho, and he mocks the sport by doing the hands in the pocket thing, and he's gonna beat him up later, and he's gonna love succinct heel promo.
Right, pretty good, and it builds up. That's another thing about this Dynamite is super economic. Like every segment was doing 2 to 3 things at once.
Mm-hmm.
The first match was dealing with Young Bucks versus TH2, but also building up the Acclaimed some more. Also showing the SCU might be having a program with the Acclaimed, all that kind of stuff all at once. MJF hyping up both the main event and the Inner Circle segment later on. Then we have Darby coming in doing a scene from Watchmen.
I just thought that was just like one of his general artsy video packages.
It is, but like my first was like, oh yeah, Rorschach test, Watchmen.
Okay, because I wrote it out as just like an
No, it's
ink
just
blot test because I don't think.
I'm making the reference.
Okay,
I'm making the reference.
okay, you nerd.
Because psychiatrist kind of person is sitting across from Darby, and he's putting up some very specific ink blots that resemble members of Team Taz, and he's cutting a promo on every member of Team Taz, going like, he's a big brute, he's kind of dumb, but he's strong, and he could fuck me up.
I like the artistic way he introduced each person, though. He was like, he called Powerhouse Hobbs a wolf in sheep's clothing. He called Ricky Starks a snake in the grass. But then he gets to Brian Cage and he's like, might be the number one contender.
Yeah. And then at the end of it all, the psychiatrist brings out the last ink blot, and it's Sting. And Darby just looks in the camera and gives a yes wink. It's like
A low little chuckle of just like, yeah, I know what we're doing.
oh yeah, especially because later on, goddamn, there's some like there's Deadpool levels of, hey, by the way, we're doing things. It's good though. Actually, it's the next segment because Cody Rhodes comes out. He's gonna be talking about some stuff with Tony Schiavone and Sting and everything. But then Sting comes out, and I'm gonna be honest. I've never watched the Sting thing. He comes out, and I expect, he's gonna be talkative, but he's not gonna be like, hey, what's up, guys? No, hey, what's up, guys?
Sting's just a guy.
Sting's a dude.
Sting is a dramatic fucking bitch. But when he's hanging out with his friends, he's just a guy. Because got to remember, he was all wrestling, all continuity is equal in wrestling. Sting was still that surfer dude back in the 80s.
Oh yeah, no, he's the dude who hangs out with preps, but is full goth.
Mm-hmm.
But he comes out. He's, what's up? I'm on TNT, bros. Yo. And he looks at Tony Schiavone and goes like, man, it's been too long. They fucking hug it out. It's sweet. Mm-hmm. He says, can you do the thing? And Tony Schiavone goes like, it's Sting.
Might be the most wholesome wrestling thing ever.
I love this version of old men in wrestling kind of thing, where they're reminiscing about what they've done and how it can affect and help the future.
Yeah. It's good.
Because like Arn Anderson kind of looks at Sting like he's a ghost. It's like, goddamn, you're real. Holy shit! Never expected this to happen.
And then he's immediately like, you know what? You've got an agenda here. Cody's got an agenda here. I kind of don't want to be collateral damage of this, so I'm just gonna go to the back.
Yeah. And basically, Cody and Sting cut a promo, and Cody's going like, hey, it's fucking Sting. Childhood hero.
I swear to God, the words that came out of that man's mouth was Sting Senpai. Please, Sting Senpai, machi desu ka?
And then Sting goes like, shut up, bitch. Who the fuck is that guy? Up in the rafters.
That's Darby. That's some kid I brought in because he reminded me of you. But you're here now. We can have that match finally.
No, that kid though. He also has a belt of the TV station that I was like the face of for years, and that'd be a cool like cap off to my career.
Like Sting is dead ass Ant-Man in Civil War going, it's Captain America. It's Captain America. It's Darby Allin. It's Darby Allin. Cody, you're great too, but that's Darby Allin.
Oh yeah, and there's like because it's also like there's a feeling of Sting's not looking at Cody because he's Dusty's kid. He's not a wrestler. He's Dusty's kid. Mm-hmm. Especially because Sting brings him in and like an uncle like hug, and he goes like, I can't remember what exactly does he say. Did you write it down?
Yeah, I think I did. He says,
"I'll see you around, kid."
Yeah,
and like the look on Cody's face is like,
I wanna just hit him. But he's my fucking hero. I can't hit that man.
I'm still like the look on his face is like I'm still that 10-year-old running around backstage to him.
Mm-hmm.
And like, goddamn, that's a fascinating character for this to whole go down on because it's like it's a layer to the whole. He is the heir to Dusty, that because it's like, he's the son of Dusty, so he was back there. Everybody knew him as a kid.
But like, Dustin was the one that everybody thought was the heir, was the next Dusty back then. Because remember, Dustin had a run as just Dustin Rhodes in WCW before he went to WWE and became Goldust.
Yeah, and he was the natural. Everybody loved him. He was great. Mm-hmm. But like, I think that's.
And then there was his weeby kid brother.
Yeah.
And why is he wrestling now? Trying to be Mr. Big Dick on campus. What's that about?
I love that little direction of like Sting's going like, no, why the fuck would I be mad at you? You're Cody. I saw you grow up, man. It's great. I'm happy you're doing all this stuff. I'm proud of you. But like, come on.
Sorry, you're not even in my top 8 spaces on MySpace.
But that kid, he looks like me. He kind of talks like me. He's doing my thing. Like, it's the son I never knew I had. Like,
this whole promo was just Sting being that meme of the guy with the 2 cars. This is great, but I like this.
Jeremy fucking Clarkson from Top Gear. But like, the look on Cody's face was just excellent because he was heartbroken.
Yeah.
He was pissed and heartbroken. It's like, well, fuck. Okay.
So we're putting our money on match with Darby Allin happens, but Cody interferes and turns heel so he can get his match with Sting.
I can see that happening. Or he starts being a huge dickhead and Sting goes full vengeance Batman and goes like, here's the thing. You're family, but that means I need to spank you when you're misbehaving.
I can see one of 2 ways they accomplish. Well, actually, one of 3 ways because I already pitched one, but one of 2 ways that I'm thinking of now. One, have some I don't like saying this, but WWE style backstage creative segments where people are like pitching ideas, and like Sting tries to pitch some ideas, and Cody's like, "Yeah, that's great, whatever. You don't want to have a match with me. We're doing this," or Cody like starts being extra brutal at the end of his matches, and like 2 or 3 matches in, somebody asks him like, why are you doing the asshole to people in your matches before? And he's just like, I want Sting. And until I get Sting, people are going to keep getting hurt and if I act like an asshole, Sting will eventually fight with me.
Cody becomes Syndrome. Like he goes like, fuck, you're not. All right, I guess I have to. But a little promo segment, kind of hyping themselves up.
Ricky is backstage with all the guys, and they're talking about what badasses they are, and also Hook has defected to Team Taz full on.
That's cool.
And he didn't say anything, so like, I don't know where they're going with it, but I kind of headcanon that Taz was like, you fucking embarrassed me by going to Cody's school, and now it's out in the open now.
I don't even think it's just like that. I think it was like they agreed, like, no, you should go to Cody's school. He's a good teacher. He can teach you a lot of good stuff. And then when Cody brought that up, it's like, over him, he was like, no, we trusted you. Fuck you. What are you doing? No. And Hook was like, You're holding me over my dad? No, fuck you. I'm gonna hang out with my dad and all his friends.
I could see that, yeah.
It's very much like, no, fuck you and the horse you're riding on.
Speaking of horses, we got Varsity Blondes, which for those of you who aren't familiar, are 2 kind of dark boys who have been just palling around for a while. Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr. This was another great tag match. Like, where like the opener was a bunch of flippy shit, this was just a good, solid, classic tag match.
Oh yeah, it was full, because here's the thing, FTR is full on 80s style wrestling. Brian Pillman Jr. is pretty similar to that way because he emulates a lot of his dad, and that was what his. And then you have the other half of Garth Brooks. That's not his name.
Griff Garrison.
And he's just kind of there. He's good. But a lot of the commentary was just talking about FTR and Brian Pillman Jr. because it's Brian Pillman Jr.
Yeah. And this is the first time he's been on AEW TV. And like I did appreciate just like how much effort they put into this match, because this could have very easily just been a squash to get FTR's momentum rolling again. But it felt like they were like, no. Give us 15 minutes. Let's give a little class for these guys, because they're on the come up and they deserve it.
Oh yeah, and it made them look really good. I can't wait to see more of them. They have a good solid tag team name that's classic and reminiscent, but also contemporary. Like it works.
Mm-hmm.
But FTR kind of jaw jacks at Jurassic Express some after the match.
You know that feud's finally coming.
Yeah. And then we have a little interview segment with Hangman Page going like, "Hey, you're gonna be in a 6-man tag, but you don't have any friends. Who do you know anybody? Does anybody care about you?" Silver and Alex Mills pop up and go like, "Hey, buddy!"
And like they're standing at a bar. Hangman is against the bar, and Silver and Reynolds pop up from behind the bar, and they're wearing like dollar store cowboy hats. It's the most hilarious bit of blocking I've seen in quite a while.
Like, "Hey, we can be your tag team partners. We can be your tag team partners." Guys, come on. I don't know. I don't want to join Dark Order. Hey, you don't have to join Dark Order. We just want to help, man. And he just goes like, "Okay, fine, sure, but I'm not joining Dark Order." It's like, dude, whatever. We're just happy to help.
Yeah.
And it's sad that that's the most positive like relationship he's had in the AEW so far.
Such is the lot of Hangman Adam Page. But no, that was fun. I like that they're building that story still, and they're bringing Silver and Reynolds' characterization from BTE more onto Dynamite, which makes me happy.
I think it's mostly because John Silver got so over using parts of it that they go like, let's just use a little bit more of it to kind of inform the background of Dark Order until Brody Lee comes in, and then we can do something with this contrast. I kind of see happening, because we also have a Dark Order match with 10 Gaston Rhodes, and it was a lot of people on the outside.
Yeah, it was it's kind of a messy match, but it went through its stuff okay. We got where we needed to be, which was at the end Dustin does win, but then Evil Uno gets on the mic and he's like Dustin, you can't change your past, but you can improve your future. You know, you've got quite 5 decades of wrestling now. That's pretty big. You know, I think you have a lot to offer. But it sucks that here you're just being treated as the 3rd most important rose. But you know where you would be treated well? Dark Order. And you know what Dark Order really needs right now? Our lucky number 7.
And like, just in the promo itself, it works because they all have numbers and it's but like, if you know your wrestling history, that's fucking hilarious.
Yeah. You can take this piece of shit 7 and shove it up your ass. That's what I think of that.
Yeah.
Is basically what he says there, because he acts like he's thinking about it for a second, and then he just slaps Evil Uno. And Evil Uno is like, guys, stay back. It's okay.
I pushed the button. It's fine.
It was a shitty gimmick he had in WWE that went nowhere.
WCW.
CW, okay.
Yeah, it was WCW because he left WWE as Goldust, and he came into WCW during the height of Russo.
Oh.
And they gave him a gimmick because, oh no, you've been Goldust. Let's give you something kind of similar. So they painted him all in white, and they made him a boogeyman who kidnapped children. And he did it for one night and said, "This is bullshit. I'm not doing this." And they didn't.
But he basically says, Evil Uno basically says everything's okay. He gets it. Dustin's upset. But one day, he will understand, and he will come back to the Dark Order begging. So this is on Dynamite, at least until Brody Lee gets back.
I can very much see that. But then we have another with Tony Schiavone, Brandy Rhodes and Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah, and Brandy's arm is still in a sling from the attack from Jade Cargill.
Selling it like a champ.
And Tony puts over all of Shaq's achievements, and Brandy is immediately on the defense. She's like, "Wow, put all that bread and butter on Shaq. Nothing for me. Just I'm here, huh? Nice." And Shaq's very apologetic. Like, I was ready to loathe this segment, but Shaq came off as like, look, I like Jade. I just think she's a great wrestler. I didn't mean for all this to happen. I was just playing around on Twitter. You gotta believe me, I'm innocent here. But
I just want to sell some pizzas.
But Brandy, I hope you heal up. I hope you have a match with Jade, because that would be great. And maybe in the meantime, you should watch some of her matches, see if you can learn a thing or two. And then Brandy just fucking turns heel and throws water in Shaq.
I don't think she turned heel. I think it was very much like Shaq is playing the athlete PRs, like classic that kind of stuff, because he's downplaying the fact that he was having a heated Twitter feud apparently with Cody. Like, they were having some back and forth, of course, in kayfabe. Like, it's meant to be. I don't think they're meant to be at each other's throats.
I get that that's what that meant, but it didn't come off that way to me. And maybe it's just like my own preconceptions coming into it, especially with Brandy's sordid past in AEW so far, kayfabe. But like, I was immediately like, oh, she's a heel again, because she is just like pissy and yelling at everybody. Like, they saw that promo she cut and they were like, that was a great promo. She's got to be mad at everybody all the time now.
Yeah, Brandy Rhodes is very much a character of extremes, and it can be tempered a little bit. But I thought, especially because you got to remember, Shaq is vouching for a heel.
Mm-hmm.
He is saying, no, this heel is fine. She's a good wrestler, even though she's been a cheating scumbag, just attacking people backstage. No, she's fine. A little that kind of misdirection in the conversation, and then the final nail in the coffin is like saying, "Hey, this young upstart is better than you. Maybe you should learn a thing or two." And Brandy was like, "Fuck that."
Mm-hmm.
I like.
Well, I guess Shaq just needs some acting lessons, and
no,
hopefully
he doesn't.
Get that on the set
look at that goddamn face.
Get that on the set of Space Jam. He's in the new Space Jam, right?
No.
Who's in the new Space Jam?
Braun?
Okay.
No, because like that last face with fucking Shaq was great. It's meme potential.
I think it almost was a meme, were it not for some other things that happened last night.
Yeah, it was good though. It was solid. I like this.
Yeah.
It is a simple program to hype up the new NBA season as synergy with TNT.
And also build the women's division.
Build the women's division, get some eyes on it. It is very much not the best AEW storyline, but with what they're having to do, they are executing it well.
And most importantly, for a celebrity being brought into wrestling, it was way better than it had any right to be.
Oh yeah, because you can also feel that Shaquille O'Neal he respects, he understands it. Like, he's playing along, he's trying to hype things up, he's doing all that kind of stuff. Like, because I can also see him doing this kind of stuff on his NBA talk show, hyping up AEW and promoting it to all the basketball fans on TNT.
Yeah.
So, I think it is a good B- segment. And as long as this angle keeps at like a B-, aces. It doesn't need to be the best. It just needs to be solid.
Definitely.
But you know what was more than solid?
Inner Circle, baby. Because we cut back to the ring, and Chris Jericho comes out with the whole Inner Circle minus Santana. They do explain that later in the segment, but basically Santana had some IRL shit going on that's very understandable. And no,
Our thoughts go
will
out
not.
to him and his family.
Yeah. But they come out, and Jericho says it's a serious night for them all. It could be their last time together. Talks about the ultimatum he issued last week, and says that shit's been going on and that things are not the way he wants them to be. Last week was no one is on the same page, and they all need to air their grievances and then decide if the group is staying together. So MJF immediately gets on the mic, and he basically says he loves all of them like brothers. He thinks that the issue is that people think he wants a group, but it was his choice to join the inner circle, and he wants to create bonds here. But it killed him to, and then Simi just immediately interrupts and starts arguing with him like, no, don't you fucking go. And then Jericho gets on the mic and he's like, Max, we've been over this. I watched Dynamite. I know you were the one that brought the towel out now.
Sweeping no, man, I was sweaty and like, Max.
Sorry about that.
Watermelon.
Very much. Ortiz gets on the mic and he basically calls timeout, says that Wardlow and MJF are both great assets for the group, but they're horrible human beings. Like, he definitely likes Wardlow. He sees some potential there. MJF is growing on him like a fungus, but it's going to take time. But he tells Sammy that he has to shake MJF's hand and bury the hatchet because he's the better man, and he knows it.
And that was a great, like, little twisting of MJF's catchphrase and everything. MJF was, like, kind of apoplectic about it. It was like, okay, we're doing this. All right. If it makes everyone happy.
Yeah. And then Sammy kind of thinks about it for a moment, and everybody's like, come on, Sammy, come on. So he takes the mic and he goes, all right, but if there's one more thing, and I'm telling you, and he looks at MJF, and then he goes, and I'm telling you, and he looks at Chris Jericho, if there is one more thing, I am quitting this group. Like, taking charge, speaking up for himself, fucking
planting seeds for a
face turn. I love it.
And then we had to, like, release some of the tension. There's a beautiful comedy spot and where Chris goes like, okay, does anybody have anything else? And then fucking Jake Hager pulls up the mic and goes like, why is he staring at me? Why are you staring at me?
What? You've been staring at me ever since I got here, man. You've been staring at me since before you got here.
Hilarious because it's two big dumb jocks going like, why are you looking at me, bro? Why are you looking at me, bro?
It's hilarious. And Jericho just breaks it up and goes like, agree to not stare at people anymore.
And it's just like such a simple, like, bit from a movie that you can see that in like some.
This is like in a 21 Jump Street film.
Yeah, it's great. It works so well, and then they kind of like look away, but they're still side eyeing each other.
Yeah, because he's basically like, all right. We're all going to be together. We're going to be friends. This is going to be great. This is going to be good. Let's bring it in. They all shake middle fingers. And at the same time, if you watch closely, Wardlow and Hager are still staring at each other while they're doing the middle finger shake. It's hilarious. It's great. But that's the segment, basically.
MJF tries to hype up his match, and Chris goes like, no, you ruined the moment. Let's just have this moment together.
Mm-hmm.
But then we have a great little interview with FTR where I want to say they started planning some babyface because Cass says, hey, it's my fault. I was trying to beat them at their own game, trying to do some flips. I shouldn't have done it. And like Dash is going like, no, I don't blame you at all. It's not your fault. And Tully's going like, yeah, no, it's not your fault. I wasn't there to help you. I wasn't there to keep your head on straight. It's my fault we weren't a unit. Because when we're a unit, you guys are unstoppable. and it makes you kind of feel like, yeah, no, this is a team that cares about each other.
Yeah. I didn't necessarily get face turn vibes. I just got that, like, internally, like these guys are like, fuck the world, but we protect each other.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it's that kind of honorable
Honor among
vibe.
thieves.
Yeah, but like that honor can like help, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Can make you trust a person. You know, same reason like Eddie Guerrero was lie, cheat, steal, but he was honorable. Like there was like a sense of like, nah, you like he'll lie, cheat, and steal, but if you catch him, he goes like, you got me. What? Here's all the stuff back. Like there was a sense of like you could trust him to that extent, which helped him be a babyface. You know what I'm saying?
No, I got you. After that, we go back to the ring, and it's Eddie Kingston, the Butcher, and the Blade with the Bunny versus Lucha Brothers and Lance Archer with Jake the Snake Roberts. Before the match can even begin, they just get into a wild brawl on the outside and fucking powerbomb Penta El Zero M into the Timekeeper's area. So he's not involved in the match. It's now a handicap match. And they kind of just go to town on Ray and Archer, even though they try their best to hold their own. But the Butcher does end up getting the pin for the win. And then after the match, Archer's all mad, so he just starts and he pummels the shit out of the Blade in the ring for a couple seconds, and that was the match.
Yeah, apparently Penta has a minor leg injury, so that was just
from this, or that was them taking him out of the match.
Take him out of the match because of it.
Okay,
so he didn't have to work the match.
Makes sense.
Yeah. But also, it's really good booking because it's technically heels versus heels, but by making it a handicap match impromptu, it kind of makes you worried for Lance Archer and Rey Fenix because, oh no, how are they going to get out of this situation? Giving them some babyface love.
Speaking of Lance Archer, did you watch that Shot of Brandy episode I sent you earlier?
I got to that point, and like a minute later, and then I started setting all this up for the show.
Yeah, so Brandy this week, it's titled as an episode featuring Fuego del Sol. But Fuego del Sol is there for like 3 minutes before Lance Archer just spears him out of frame and is like, hi, I'm the guest now. We're going to be making this big, ridiculous protein snack that's covered in Jack Daniels. And the whole time Brandy is just standing there like, okay, this is happening now.
And like, hey, do you want some whiskey? Let's have some whiskey. Are you going to drink that whiskey? No? It's my whiskey now.
It was great. Legitimately some of the best character work Archer has got.
Fan casting. Lance Archer as Lobo.
Yes!
Because I can just hear him saying all the Lobo stuff. Pistaches.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody
make that Photoshop.
He already has the Lobo.
He doesn't have the big poofy 80s hair, but he's got like similar craziness.
Yeah, it feels Lobo enough. I can definitely see him being a Lobo. Yeah. I mean, they already know
Sure, that's fair.
But yeah, it was solid, fun little segment. Keeps building the feud between Lance Archer and Eddie Kingston, Death Triangle and the family, and all that kind of stuff. Again, multiple plates. Does multiple things.
Multiple things?
Jade and Nyla continuing to beat up baby faces with Red Velvet, and a couple other faces come in to save. And who was the other one? Was it Big Swole?
Big Swole, and there was a couple others I couldn't identify.
I know one of them was
a really quick segment.
I know the one in the poofy jacket was Serena Deeb.
Mm-hmm.
I know that.
But I think there was at least a couple other people that came in.
Yeah, but just kind of showing that, hey, these guys are trying to run roughshod on the backstage, trying to take out competitors who they feel threatened by, that kind of stuff. So, solid.
I do appreciate them. Oh, sorry.
No, it's solid.
Yeah, and I'm like, something I forgot to mention when they did the first one of these, I do appreciate that they're doing stuff like this now, because it helps the backstage feel like more of a living, breathing environment. It's not just match, interview, match, interview, match, video package, match, interview, main event. It's like, no, occasionally shit happens backstage and you gotta, people are just hanging out and storyline develops naturally from there.
Another similar thing would be the Jon Moxley being there.
Yeah.
But then we have a women's match with Abaddon.
Yeah, Abaddon versus Tesha Price. Abaddon gets a full-on entrance, and then Justin Roberts is like, and Tesha Price is here too. And she looks scared out of her mind.
Like how you should be selling Abaddon.
Mm-hmm. I've never seen Tesha Price before. Apparently she's been on Dark for a while, and people were really excited to see her on Dark. But she gets squashed in literally 5 moves. I counted. And then Abaddon just keeps... until Sheeta runs in just civilian clothes with her kendo stick, boops Abaddon on the back of the head, and then grabs Tesha and just kind of tries to get her out of there firefighter style until Abaddon does a freaking Undertaker sit-up, and Sheeta's just like, okay, fuck that, I'm leaving, bye.
Like, I remember some people were complaining about, like, oh, why is she being so afraid of Abaddon last week when she was doing the interview segment? And I was like, she's facing her fears. And she showed that this week because, like, she was trying to run out and Abaddon's looking at her going, like, what you gonna do, bitch? And
Sheeta clearly, she's really good acting from her. Hey, don't want to fucking do this, but I don't want that other girl to get hurt either. So I'm the fucking champion. I'm gonna set an example and save the other person.
And she, like, bob head and it's like, all right, cool, let's just get the fuck out of here. And like it's perfect, especially with that tweet you sent that she made later on in your Discord server of basically going like, yeah, if you fight a crocodile, you know you don't.
Yeah, because people have been complaining like, you guys, Abaddon and Sheeta had a dark match a good while ago, she shouldn't be scared of her, she beat her, it's fine. No, that's not how it works. You think there's people who... You think Finn Balor is in fucking NXT right now because he's not scared out of his mind of facing the Fiend again?
Yeah, and you gotta... And, like, that's Abaddon's character. You gotta remember, like, she's purposefully butt-shitting fucking scary. That's what she's trying to be. And... she is freaking me the fuck out. I don't want to be here, but I gotta be here. Is good character, and it makes for a relatable babyface.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Because also she's not screaming, running away. She's facing it. She's doing it.
She has to work herself up for it, but it's a good way to make Abaddon feel like a legitimate threat while also not throwing your women's champ.
She needs a Scooby snack.
Mm-hmm. She's gotta eat her spinach.
Speaking of a person who's probably eaten one too many Scooby snacks, Jericho. He's backstage basically going like, hey, when MJF is doing his match, we'll be out there.
We're buddies. We're back together. It's cool.
We got his back. We want him to win. And then we have
segment.
What is understandably, a lot of people said, oh, this is just the Impact segment again. Yeah.
Motherfucker, you ever hear of a thing called nuance?
Yeah, there is a definite change in... I'm not saying that. I'm saying that there was a large bit of the community that said, it's kind of the same thing. It kind of is, but it's okay. Looking at it from a different perspective.
Let me, because I have been extremely frustrated with people saying this, and I can understand it because, yes, similar to the Impact segment, but it's not the same exact word-for-word damn segment. Josh Matthews did not suddenly appear in Omega, guys. What happened was what happens in real life. When you're excited about a recent development in your life, and you tell a set of friends, and then the next day, you tell another set of friends, you're going to say kind of the same thing, but you're going to say it a little differently. It's realistic, And it's them slowly building a story that's probably going to go for a long while. Long-term booking comes with slow inch by inch building. And this shouldn't be something I have to accept. This is what Kenny has been doing since day fucking one in AEW. Remember back complaining, oh, Kenny's not like he was in New Japan. He's tired and he seems bored and emo. I don't get it. Fucking building to this. We had to build to this, and now we're building. Be fucking patient.
I think also some of the impatience is coming from the fact that they were going like, oh, no, we're going to be announcing something at AEW. And it's like, they kind of did, but like they didn't make a new announcement.
Mm-hmm.
They were saying like, hey, this is Kenny Omega. We're going to go after all the belts. I'm kind of his manager right now.
Fucking the bit about like Don saying like, oh, Tony feels screwed over. Welcome to the wrestling business, kid.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, and there's a completely different tone because in Impact, it's very much, here is your new god. That was kind of the tone.
Look at us. We're the best. We're the best. He's the best. I'm the best. We're the best. Aren't we the best?
So Impact. This is who you should be looking up to, even though we have our own champion, and it's kind of like. It was kind of meant to bury Impact and make Impact make it understandable why the Impact wrestlers would be going like, hey, fuck these guys. AEW is very much, hey guys, we screwed you, fuck you. It's a different tone.
If I were to have one actual complaint with this segment, I would just say like, maybe don't compare yourselves to Montreal, because that was a very different kind of a thing, and it's like a once in the entirety of existence of reality kind of an event. Like, I get that you want to hype up your screw job, but the Montreal screw job is just something that you can't replicate and can't top because of how much it fundamentally changed wrestling. And that's me saying that as somebody who got into wrestling 2 years ago, not as an old-ass Jim Cornette kind of guy.
But here's the thing. Can you name another major screw job in wrestling?
That's fair, but you can say screw job without saying Montreal.
I also think, hey, they're both Canadian, and there's a sore spot with Canada and the Montreal screw job.
That's fair.
So it's kind of like, hey, fuck you, we're doing one better. You know, that kind of mindset. I'm not saying that's where they're going, but like I can understand why they kind of want to make that reference, because it's also like, hey, we're trying to do a big storyline. Everybody kind of knows about Montreal. And it's also a major thing in wrestling that, while yes, is a part of WWE, isn't solely tied to WWE.
Mm-hmm.
It has ramifications over the entire wrestling landscape.
That's true. And I mean, also, if I could say something very nice about this segment, I think Excalibur gave his best performance in AEW so far during that bit when Kenny's getting off the helicopter, because you can tell in his voice that like he's trying to be the same professional Excalibur that he always is, but he just sounds so mad and so pissed off and disgusted with Kenny, and yet he still has the time to say that, like, in this commentator's opinion, Jon Moxley is the rightful champion.
Like, I don't want to make this direct comparison, but it kind of gives me vibes of JR looking at Stone Cold shaking the hand of Vince McMahon going, he's making a deal with the devil.
I wanted to say that, but I was worried it might have been too close.
Like, you can tell that JR is having a major impact and influence on Excalibur. Like, like Excalibur's picking his brain every moment he can and learning so much. Like,
definitely.
Like, genuinely. And I think that's honestly a great thing for JR to be in this kind of scenario of going like, no, you're the next generation. You're going to be the voice of wrestling for a new generation of kids. Here's the tips of the trade to make sure your stuff is remembered.
And I mean, like, you can another way you can tell that, there was a bit during this episode where they were plugging the holiday collection of merch, and JR just goes like, I would like a Christmas sweater with Excalibur's match on it, with Excalibur's mask on it. Can we get that, please? Please.
JR is the biggest Excalibur fan, and I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Because he see like it just shows that he sees potential in him, and that's great.
Yeah.
I love the commentary team on AEW just because everybody just genuinely likes to be around each other. So it's good. It's good and solid. Yep. One quick thing. I love Don Callis' fucking rose sunglasses. It makes him look like a piece of shit.
It really does. It's great.
He has a great manager look. It's solid.
Yeah. But after that, we get a bunch of match announcements for next week. We're going to have Cody Rhodes versus Angelico. That should be really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The Acclaimed versus SCU is definitely happening. So, okay, looking forward to it. Yep. Serena Deeb and Big Swole versus Ivelisse and Diamante. Yes, please.
Yeah, because Ivelisse and Diamante came in and attacked the baby faces some. Trying to get their shot in. Like, fuck you. Great.
Yeah. And then on the 23rd, Dynamite will have a special airtime because there's a big NBA thing happening that week. So probably going to be a little later in the night than normal.
Also, it's Christmas week, and they probably want to give some of the wrestlers a little bit more time off.
Mm-hmm. And then they announced that they are doing New Year's Smash, a 2-night event. Night 1 will be on the 30th, and it's going to have Jericho on commentary for the whole show. And then night 2 will be on the 6th of January, and Snoop Dogg is going to be there because he's on Go Big Show, and he likes wrestling, and his niece may or may not be the current SmackDown Women's Champion.
And he may have had a cross promotional line of merchandise with a certain undead wizard that got immediately taken off the shop like the moment that segment aired.
And he may or may not have massive heat in another company just for this announcement. Because Vince McMahon is petty as fuck.
This is fucking great. I love it.
And the best part is, I don't even expect Snoop Dogg to be heavily featured. I'm thinking it's just going to be one backstage segment that's like, lol, drugs.
To do TH2. Because TH2 is a reference to marijuana.
Yeah.
They're working with Impact. They can bring in Rob Van Dam.
Oh my god. But then we get the main event. MJF with the Inner Circle versus Orange Cassidy with Best Friends.
And it devolves into a lumberjack match.
Yeah.
Because a bunch of baby faces see that, the Inner Circle's here. Fuck them. They're trying to take advantage of the numbers, so we're going to help out Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, during the ad break, fucking Best Friends just go right into the back, and they're like, yo, anybody who got a minute, come on. So Brandon Cutler, Top Flight, and the Varsity Blondes, and I think one other person all come out.
I'm trying to remember.
And it's just like heels on one side, faces on the other, just slamming their hands on the mat, going, yes, have the wrestling.
Wrestle.
Exactly.
No, like, I love that because, hey, yeah, Inner Circle's all there. That's a lot of people. It makes sense to kind of try and grab some others to kind of even the odds.
And, I poo-pooed the idea of this match happening last week. I said, I wanted Jungle Boy to win. I definitely do think that might have been the better booking decision from a story perspective. However, this was a fucking phenomenal match. Like, some of MJF's best working so far. Just the ways he gets in, that classic heel heat by taking all of Orange Cassidy's shtick and twisting it to be painful. And then they did an innovation on the classic Eddie Guerrero chair spot, and Orange Cassidy reversed it.
There's been some reversals on the Eddie Guerrero spot before. But the way he reversed it is excellent. Because typically the way you reverse it, they do the whole thing, chair, throw it at the other person, and you take a bat bunk and make it look like, oh, they hit you. But usually the reversal is, no, you throw it back in time and they catch it and you take a back bump. And it's like, tricky. What this was MJF threw the bat at Orange Cassidy, took the back bump like you're supposed to. Orange Cassidy's hands went in his pocket so he couldn't grab the bat. And MJF is looking at him like, you dumb fuck, you were supposed to grab that.
And then just Cassidy immediately does the back bump as the fucking ref turns around.
It's fucking great. It's solid, but like brilliant working because Orange Cassidy hurt his hand, and that's his major finisher was the Superman punch.
Orange punch. You should know this.
Orange pulp punch.
Mm-hmm.
I've got my spine. I've got my orange punch. A little REM there for you.
But he gets the move in, and just as he thinks he's about to win it, fucking Miro comes out and just clotheslines the shit out of him, and MJF's like, well, don't mind if I do. So he pins, he retains the Dynamite Diamond, because of course he does.
He says, I won clean.
I'm sorry?
Then he says, I won clean.
Mm-hmm.
Middle of the match.
And then Miro just kills everyone. Miro just killed everyone. Literally everyone in Daly's Place died at the end of this episode. There's no AEW roster left. Miro is the only person. He will have all the belts next week. They're going to have to sign some new people.
Yeah. It made Miro look fucking great. I love his sweater.
Yeah.
It was solid. But yeah, no, this was a great top tier episode of Dynamite. There wasn't anything like big, mind-blowing, explosive, but like every bit of storytelling they did was solid.
Definitely. And it just kept going and going. And I didn't, like, unlike last week where I was just like, what's going to happen? I was like, oh, it's over? I wanted more. That only felt like an hour. I thought this was 2 hours.
Yeah.
Then I looked at the clock and I was like, oh shit, it looks okay. Well, very good.
And like there's a lot of things you're going like, okay, what's gonna fucking happen next week? But it's not like huge, what the fuck is Sting doing here kind of questions. It's more like, okay, it's more like what's Shaq gonna do? What's smaller questions that they can answer.
We now know where we're going, and it's about figuring out how we get there.
Yeah.
But that was a wrestling.
That was a wrestling. But you know it's also a wrestling themed fan game that we're making called Dream Johnny.
Mm-hmm. How's that coming?
It's coming.
Because I'm now not involved whatsoever.
It is completely on me, so any delays is on me and Cyberpunk. No, it's on me on CD Projekt Red because they delayed Cyberpunk. That was the joke. It didn't quite work because I don't have the game, so I can't say that it's delaying me. That's how the joke was coming. It's coming along. Pretty much all the logic is in. Everything in that is good. It's now just filling in all the little bits of dialogue that need to be added in and adding the visual bits to that, and that's going along. Solid enough clip. I think by next week we should have a definitive release date and a trailer.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I hope you are. And we'll play it live next week.
But it'll also probably get a separate upload afterwards.
As well. Okay.
So we can send it to Evil Uno on Twitter.
Yeah. Well, should we send the trailer to him, or should we just send the game and go like, hey, we made this?
Why not to both?
Okay, whatever. Fuck it.
Yeah.
But, in the meantime, tell the people who you are.
Hey everybody, I'm the Vacuuminator, and I lost my fucking mind while waiting for Boingo to get back tonight. But if you want to see me try and repair that damage, I'm trying to repair every mistake I've ever made by repairing the worst mistake ever made in the history of media. I am working on a rewrite of Power Rangers Megaforce, the worst tokusatsu show ever made, and that'll be coming out on my YouTube sometime later this month. I don't have an exact date, And that's by intention because I may end up working the entirety of my Christmas break on this video just to make sure it gets done. But that is coming soon, and you can find out when it comes out along with all my other videos at youtube.com/thevacuminator, spelled THEVACUUMINATOR. I'm also on the social media. Been pretty active on Twitter this week, so if you want to come and have some goose and gas with me, go follow me at the Vacuminator. And if you want to see my figure photography, excuse me,
nailed it.
When I come back from hiatus and start doing action figure photography again, you can find me on Instagram at the Vacuminator.
Alrighty, you did a good job. I'm proud of you for that.
Thank you.
Howdy, I'm Chris Boingo Writer Gaston. I do video essays and video editorials here on the YouTubes. I'm kind of in a hiatus right now. I'm waiting till the first of the year to start up Boingo Writer 2.0. New operating system, new everything. It's going to be great. Probably not changing a lot of my assets. I just felt like kind of making it. I want to make it like a little trailer to hype myself up. Yeah. Yee. If you want to follow me on the social medias, I don't quite like a lot of them, but I do have a Twitter. You can follow me there. I do have an Instagram. I do use that a lot more. I enjoy that somewhat. And you can join my Discord server. A link to that is in the description. We talk about a bunch of shit. In fact, we're talking a bunch of shit about the announcements Disney made today, because we'll probably talk more about that in the podcast we record on Saturdays, known as Analytical Fanboys, which will be out next Friday.
Yeah. Is our massive, insane, I don't even know what happened, multi-topic extravaganza.
The Dumpster Fire cast.
Pretty much.
If we ever do that as a main podcast, we just need to call it the Dumpster Fire.
Yeah.
Just a lot of things happen. We explained it in the podcast, but you can check that out tomorrow on Friday here at Modular Media. And if you want to keep up with all the podcast goodness here on Modular Media, you could always click subscribe and ring the bell to make sure you're notified whenever we go live on Modular Media Wrestling Podcast, or when a new episode of Analytical Fanboys drops, or any other upcoming podcast projects, including but not limited to Toys to Men and other projects that I have in my back pocket. Vac may have a couple projects in his back pocket he might want to do.
I might be cooking up something with a potential friend of ours who's not in Modular just yet.
Yeah. But that's all possibilities and the whatnots. But in the meantime, this is Modular Media, which is a creative-based worker cooperative where we just make things and help each other out. For right now, we'll get more ambitious as time goes on. Like, comment, subscribe, follow us on our YouTube channels and social medias. And until then, wrestling.
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 Wrestling.